Okay, I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. I sat down to film a video on how I get out of a rut, out of a funk, out of a low vibe, anxiety-filled headspace. However, I ended up talking to my camera for about 40 to 50 minutes. Therefore, this is going to be a two-parter. In part two, I'm gonna go over almost like my routine of what I do to actively get out of a rut and into a better headspace. But for part one, I'm gonna go over a little bit of why I was just in a funk, as well as give you some tools that I've learned in my coaching certification program that has changed the game with anxiety for me. And I really learned how to view it differently and how I can learn from it, as well as how I can also just calm it down. And like, it's been life-changing for me. So I'm gonna share with you some of that. Definitely watch the whole video. If you deal with anxiety, I know we all do. I feel you. And you know I do the law of attraction videos, and one of the things about the law of attraction is like you need to feel good in order to accomplish the good things you want in your life. But I have so many people saying like, I don't even know how to get there. Like I'm struggling with anxiety and feeling low and all this. So this is where you start off. You have to learn to get out of the low points so that you can start feeling better and then, you know, living the life you really want to live. I hope you enjoy this video. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, so today's video is going to be about how I deal with getting out of one of those low vibe, anxiety-ridden, negative headspaces back up into a better state, because honestly, over the weekend, I was dealing with one of those low points and I was just filled with anxiety. My thoughts were taking over. It just was not a good time. And if you've been watching my videos, you probably know that I've shared some low points that I've had with you, and I've shared that I've dealt with a lot of anxiety and depressive episodes in my life. And back then, feeling the way I felt this weekend, I would have let that stretch out into weeks, if not months, if not longer, of just a low depressive episode. But I've really learned how to learn and get the lesson that I need out of the low points, but quickly bounce back up and, you know, get in a good headspace and back to life and feeling good. Because I believe that the best parts of life happen when you're feeling good, but the big learning lessons happen and the growth happens when you experience the low points. So I've learned to experience and grow, but not stay there and like suffer. So I'm gonna share with you how I do that. And if you are new here, just to let you know, I'm currently in the process of becoming a certified life coach. I'm in a 10-month-long certification program. We're learning a lot about this stuff. This is a variety channel, but I am kind of trying to steer more towards personal development and just like helping you guys grow as well, because I feel like I have this platform. Why not do something positive that can actually benefit another person's life? I will say I was originally going to be filming a video on abundance mindset to increase your income, but because I was feeling not so abundant, I was feeling very low, I knew that I would not be able to do that video justice. So if you would like me to still do that video after this one, hit the thumbs up button and I will totally get that video to you. So with that being said, here we go. I will start off by saying that this low point was definitely triggered by events happening in my life. It was like circumstantial anxiety, but it kind of went out of control. Like I let my mind take it over. I found out that my aunt's health is really declining and she's not doing very well and she might not have a lot of time left. And I'm really sad about that because she has not had a good life. She has had a lot of hurt, and it's just really sad to see that this is where life is taking her. So any prayers, good vibes. She has cancer and yeah, she is getting hospice care right now. So send love to my aunt in Oregon. And then I had a circumstance where like I had this triggering dream, and then I went to someone for comfort and they weren't giving me the comfort that I wanted in the way I wanted, and I started blaming them. Like, if you were to do this and treat me this way and like show me you care by doing this, then I wouldn't be feeling so bad. And like I just put the blame on him. That's never a good thing. Like you cannot go to another person to fix your emotions. You have to learn to fix them yourself. You can't put that emotional burden on another person, and that's like where I really spiraled out of control. Like my mind just took over. I was not in the present moment because I was just like going over all the scenarios in my head, things I want to say, how I want to say them, like worries of the future, all this stuff. Like my mind just took over. And when we get anxious and super stressed, does that not happen to you? Do you have your mind take over and it just kind of spirals out of control and you'll just like sit there and like dive into your thoughts? Because I know I do that, and I know a lot of other people do that as well. I am someone who does deal with ADHD, and with that I also deal with anxiety. But for the most part, since I've learned to control it, I am happy the majority of the time, and I don't let my mind spiral and take over like I did this weekend. And I will say also, we have way more power over controlling our thoughts and calming them down and calming our emotions down than we think. I deal with anxiety, and it used to take over my life. And I know back when it was taking over my life, I used to be like, these people don't know what they're talking about. They've never really experienced anxiety if they think I can control it. I thought those people were like crazy for saying that too. But no, it just takes a lot of work every single day to calm those thoughts and not get sucked into an anxiety hole. Although I let myself do that this weekend. And I specifically remember the first day I was feeling that. I thought to myself, I know I have control over my emotions, but I just want to be mad. And that's what I chose. It was not a good choice, but I decided I'm just going to be mad because I feel like it, because that person made me mad. No, that person did not make me mad. We don't always have control. I mean, a lot of the times, in general, we don't have control over things that happen to us, but we do have control over how we react to it. And I chose to react poorly. And because I made that decision and didn't like breathe and think and like take a moment before reacting, I just let the anxiety and anger take over and consume me for several days. And once you let that happen, it can pull you down for longer than you want to be down. And that is when, the thoughts started taking over. Also, like I said, I was sitting there and like thinking of all the scenarios, what I wanted to say, how I wanted things to go, like obsessive thoughts just took over. And one thing I've learned from my coach in my certification program is anytime you're so mad at another person and you're pointing your finger saying, I need you to do this, I feel this way because of you, if you would just show up for me the way I want you to show up for me, I would feel better. I feel this way because of you. Like every time we feel like yelling those things at another person, that's like our inner child. That is just what we want us to show ourselves. I've talked a little bit about inner child before, but like I've said, we are the same soul. We're the same person that we've been ever since we were a little kid. And anytime that we kind of get out of hand and like almost like throw an emotional tantrum, that's like the little kid in us just saying like, I want attention. And you can actually give yourself that attention. So inside, I just wanted to be comforted. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to feel safe. And I was trying to make another person do that for me, but I have to first do that for myself. That's what I needed for myself. So it took a while, but I did have to sit and think like, what is it that I need? Why am I freaking out? Why am I feeling so low? What is this anxiety trying to teach me? So every time you feel triggered or you're feeling anxious, like there is a lesson in that. What do I have to learn from this? Why is this coming up? What is triggering me? What in my past happened that makes this so emotional for me? Because a lot of the times if we have a trigger, it's because of something that happened in our past or in our childhood. And then someone triggers that emotion and it brings it up again. Every time I get triggered now, even though it doesn't make it feel any more pleasant, I now look at that as like, okay, what is not healed in me? What do I need to learn from this? So with that, really the first step I take to try to get out of that negative headspace is just being curious of why I'm feeling this way. Instead of trapped up in our heads and all of those thoughts and like spiraling the scenarios, all of that, try to distance yourself from all those hectic thoughts and question like, why am I feeling this way? What is this really about? It's not about what the other person did or all these outside circumstances. It's like, I need something. Oftentimes, it's like, I just need to feel safe. I feel super hectic and I want to feel safe. But how can I make myself feel safe first? Because if you're trying to make someone else make you feel safe, but they're dealing with their own selves, that's just gonna add pressure onto them. It's no good. So that's why you gotta calm down and like, how can I make myself feel safe? There's one thing that I've learned in my coaching certification program. It's called noting. I may have mentioned this in a video before, but noting is when you try to look at what you're thinking from like a bird's eye view. It's not like disassociation, but just like stepping back and noticing all the thoughts and all the stories you're creating in your head. A lot of the time, those thoughts are things that we're just making up. Scenarios we're making up, assumptions that we're making up that the other person's feeling, assumptions of what that will lead to in the future. And all of that is not real. Those are just like projections. And we're causing this anxiety from making all of this stuff up. These aren't actual problems. We're creating all of these thoughts that aren't the current reality. It's worry about possible scenarios that most likely are not going to happen. But if we continue to think these things, it is also not going to lead to anything good. Notice those stories and be like, oh, that is so interesting that I'm like, my mind's going there. Like, I wonder what that's from, and question it. Another thing that I do is feel the sensation in my body. So when I'm in one of those headspaces, what is my body physically feeling like? My body is usually feeling super anxious. My heart might be pounding more and my chest is constricting and my throat is constricting, and I'm not like taking deep breaths because I just feel so tight. When you're thinking about the physical sensations and that's where you're putting your focus, you're not so much thinking of all of those unnecessary thoughts. You're putting your focus on what's physically happening to my body in this moment, and that helps so much, just to be like, okay, that's interesting. All this constriction, and just like observe that. So that's another tool you can use, and that's a tool that really helps me, just putting the focus on the physical sensations and knowing that, okay, those are just physical sensations. They're okay. Oftentimes, if you just like breathe into them, it will loosen them up.
Yes, I know that was an abrupt stop, but part 2 is coming soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. You're gonna get like a lot of practical tools and things that you can do in the next one. If you have any questions or video requests, let me know down in the comments, but I will see you very soon with part 2. All right, bye guys.